parents manipulated me into believing my sister was unstable. It wasn't until my father nearly killed me that I finally saw the truth. She was the only one who ever truly fought for my life. Being the youngest, I shaped myself into a child who spoke only when addressed, desperate to avoid becoming anything like my older sister, Millie. Whenever my dad abused me or my brother, she never let it pass. I remember one holiday in Florida when I was about 12, wearing jean shorts. My brother Evan was 13 and Millie was 15. My dad gave my thigh a light slap, commenting that I was getting fat. I was a size 2 at the time. I shot Millie a warning look, pleading with my eyes for her to stay silent, and she was about to comply until my dad tugged at the hem of my shorts and told me to cover up. That's when she exploded. "What the hell did Dad just say?" she demanded of my mother, who was already trying to hush her. Suddenly, the whole room, myself included, was screaming at her, calling her a troublemaker. Looking back, I obviously regret joining in, but I was brainwashed. My parents had somehow convinced me that their abuse was a parental right and that speaking up was what created problems. Didn't end there. That was when Evan adopted the only defensive strategy he knew. He plastered a boyish, indifferent smirk on his face, pretending he couldn't care less about anything our dad did or said. Immediately, our father turned his fury on Evan, threatening to hit him. That night, Millie slept in our bed, shielding Evan in case our dad tried something in the dark. As the years went on, things deteriorated. Evan had once been a sweet boy who would tuck Millie and me in on the couch and tell us we were pretty. But as our father's abuse intensified, so did Evan's behavior. By 16, he was just another angry presence in the house. Millie, however, never lost her fiery assertiveness, while I remained the one who cried at the slightest conflict. This pattern held until Millie's senior year. The night before her SAT, we were at the dinner table. She was the only one who cared about school, and her hands were shaking, her gaze distant. When she asked Evan to stop chewing with his mouth open, he yelled, "You're going to fail your stats and be a fucking failure for life." Millie stood up in tears and ran to her room. My dad started shouting, his voice echoing off the walls, while I stayed in the kitchen, texting Millie to ask why she had to disrupt our family's peace again. After that, we saw her less and less. She was always at a friend's house or out partying secretly. I stopped texting her too, convinced she was the one who had torn us apart, but her absence made me the new target. I became the scapegoat. Every day, my dad barked orders at me, and nothing I did was ever enough. He was even too intimidated by Evan to command him, yet Millie never gave up on me. He would occasionally come home and confront our parents, though I didn't appreciate it until the day our dad caught Evan putting wet clothes on my mom's dry laundry. He was screaming at Evan when suddenly he called for me. As I entered the living room, he called me a useless ugly who couldn't control my brother. While I was still processing his words, he shoved me over the coffee table. Tears streamed down my face, fear flooding my veins. When I tried to get up, he kicked the back of my legs, knocking me down again. "Get the fuck out of here," he growled. He didn't need to tell me twice. I ran to the bathroom, locked the door, and called the first person I thought of, Millie. I told her everything. She spoke in that soft, calming voice of hers. As I sat on the cold floor, my dad screamed again, ordering me to clean the kitchen, so I hung up without explanation. 20 minutes later, I heard the front door open quietly. Millie walked in with her tall, muscular boyfriend. I stared at her, terrified to leave, fearing worse punishment. She seemed to understand, immediately taking my hand. Her eyes were filled with a comforting certainty. Before I knew it, she had persuaded me to leave with her, taking me to an apartment I never knew she rented. I talked myself into bed, and she asked me to explain what had happened, to tell her what she'd missed. But I didn't want to think about it anymore. I just wanted to focus on a Halloween party I had planned for the next day. I shook my head violently, and Millie nodded, then ordered McDonald's. I never made it to that party because the next day, my mom texted, insisting I come home, saying Millie had done enough damage. I believed her. The moment I walked through the door, my dad hit me so hard I blacked out. His palm connected with my cheek with a sickening crack. I came to on the floor, my head throbbing, the taste of blood in my mouth. That was the moment I knew I couldn't stay, not for one more night. "I want to leave," I said, my voice stronger than I expected. The words hung in the air, tasting like free. "Dumb." "Good," Millie replied. "I need you to be smart. Pack only what you absolutely need. Clothes, important documents if you can get them, anything sentimental you can't replace. Nothing bulky, one backpack, that's it." Her voice was calm yet urgent, like a general planning a retreat. My heart raced as the reality of our plans sank in, terrifying yet liberating. "Tell them you're going to a friend S for a school project sleepover on Friday," she instructed. "I'll pick you up 2 blocks away at 7. Can you do that?" Her intense eyes were fixed on me. "Yes," I answered without hesitation. "And don't tell anyone, not friends, not teachers, no one." Her emphasis made me nod solemnly. I understood the stakes. After we hung up, I sat on my bed, tracing the hairline cracks in the wall. 3 more days in this house. I could do it. I had to. The next day, I woke with a strange calm. Nothing had changed. My dad barked orders, my mom pretended normalcy, Evan glared, but knowing I had an escape made it bearable. At school, I asked my English teacher, Mr. Parker, if I could list her as a reference for a summer job, needing someone outside my family to vouch for me. That afternoon, I began secretly gathering my things. I took my birth certificate from the den filing cabinet, tucked my school ID and $43 into a sock, and selected a few essential clothes. I found an old iPod and started recording my dad's outbursts whenever possible, covering the red light with tape. Each time I pressed record, my pulse raced with fear and determination. Thursday night, I barely slept, jumping at every creak. Friday morning, I forced normality through breakfast, school, and chores. At dinner, I casually mentioned the fake project. Sarah needs help with her science presentation. Her mom said I could sleep over. I kept my eyes on my plate. Which Sarah? My mom asked suspiciously. Sarah Chen from biology. You met her mom at the open house. My dad grumbled. I don't remember approving this. Mom did, I lied, turning to her. Remember when I asked on Tuesday? She hesitated, then said, oh, right, but be back by noon tomorrow. You have chores. At 6:30, I shouldered my backpack, its weight containing my entire life. Don't stay up all night giggling, my mom said almost normally. My dad didn't look up from the TV. I walked normally until I turned the corner, then ran. At exactly 7, a car pulled up. Millie pushed open the door. Get in. I threw my backpack in and climbed after it. Did anyone follow you? She asked, knuckles white on the wheel. No, she nodded. We're not going to my old place. I found a new apartment in a secure building. She thought of everything. What about Jason? I asked, remembering her imposing boyfriend. We broke up, she said shortly. He said I was obsessing over our family. We drove in silence. The farther we got, the lighter I felt. They're going to be so angry, I finally said. Are you having second thoughts? Millie asked carefully. No, I just know what's coming. She nodded grimly. The new apartment was small but clean and bright. You can have the bedroom, Millie said, dropping my bag on the bed. I'll take the couch. I started to protest, but she waved me off. Thank you, I whispered. Her face softened. You're my sister. I wasn't going to leave you there. I slept deeply that night, no longer listening for footsteps. The peace lasted until 10:07 the next morning when my phone exploded with texts from my mom. Where are you? Sarah's mom says you never showed up. Answer me, your father is furious. My hands shook as I showed Millie. Turn off your phone, she said calmly. I typed, I'm safe. I'm not coming back, then powered it off. What now? I asked. Now we wait. She was right. Voicemails piled up on her phone, my mom alternating between threats and pleas, my dad growling, you'll regret it. Millie deleted them all. Next day, Evan texted, don't expect anything from us when he dies. I showed Millie. He's trying to guilt you. Dad probably put him up to it. Monday, Millie helped me enroll in a new school using her address. What if they come looking? I asked. They might, but they'd have to admit why you left, she reasoned. That night, my phone lit up with messages from extended family and old friends, all parroting my parents' narrative that I'd run off with a bad crowd and Millie had led me astray. The guilt crept back. They're trying to control the story, Millie said. No one will believe us, will they? I asked, devastated. Millie was quiet, then said, show me the recordings again. I played clips of my dad's rage, the sound of me hitting the table, my mom's cold instructions. People will believe this, she said firmly. We started by emailing Aunt Dorothy, my mom's kinder sister, with an explanation and one audio clip. She replied, I always suspected. What do you need? We reached out to others, my mom's friend Margaret, my dad's cousin B. Bruce, some never replied, some were shocked, a few offered help. Not everyone is like them, Millie said, but the backlash was swift. My parents launched a coordinated campaign, painting me as a liar and Millie as a bad influence. My dad's brother called Millie directly. You're tearing this family apart with your lies, he said, his voice chillingly like my dad's. They're not lies, Millie shot back. The family was already broken. He hung up on her. Weeks after I left, I was still sleepwalking through my new school, haunted by nightmares. Maybe we should report them, I suggested one evening. Without recent physical evidence, it might not go anywhere, Millie said. And if it does, she didn't need to finish. What about the recordings? I asked. They help, but the system doesn't always work, she sighed. So what do? We keep building our case, and we make sure as many people as possible know the truth. At night, I couldn't sleep, thinking of other trapped kids. I found Millie in the living room. I want to tell our story publicly, I said. All of it. She looked surprised. Are you sure? Once it's out, you can't take it back. I'm sure. The next day, I wrote everything from my earliest memories to the final blow. I read it to Millie. Her eyes were wet. It's perfect. I created a new social media account, posted my story with audio clips, and sent the link to everyone. The response was immediate and overwhelming, hundreds of shares, messages from strangers sharing their own stories, offers of support. My parents' facade crumbled. My mom's church friends stopped visiting, my dad lost a job, Evan dropped out. You've ruined everything, my mom texted. I hope you're happy. I didn't respond. A month later, as Millie and I were eating dinner, someone pounded violently on the door. We froze. Open this door right now, my dad's slurred voice shouted. My blood turned to ice. How did he find us? I whispered. Millie grabbed her phone, calling the building manager who said he was calling the police. We listened to my dad's rage until other voices intervened, the manager and police officers. The pounding stopped, footsteps retreated. The manager knocked softly. He's gone. The police issued a trespass warning. Are you both okay? Yes, thank you, Millie called back. That night we packed again. The next morning we moved to another apartment in a different part of the city, this one with a deadbolt and peephole. We can't keep running forever, I said. We won't have to, Millie promised. 2 months later, I got a text from Evan at 2:17 a.m. "You were right, I'm sorry." I stared at it, torn between the brother I remembered and the one who had watched and participated in my abuse. I deleted it without replying. The nightmares gradually lessened. I started therapy and got a job at a bookstore. I made friends, stopped flinching at raised voices. One day, I realized I wasn't wearing my mom's necklace anymore, a small gold heart that now felt like a cheap trinket meant to buy my silence. "You stand taller now," Millie said one evening as we washed dishes. "You look people in the eye." "I learned from the best," I said. As months passed, the messages from my parents dwindled and stopped. The last one from my mom read, "I hope someday you'll forgive us." I didn't respond. On the 1-year anniversary of my leaving, Millie surprised me with a chocolate cake and a single candle. "Your Independence Day," she said, smiling. 1 year of freedom. I blew out the candle, wishing for many more years of safety and healing. The next day, I wrote a new post, this time about healing and building a new life. I titled it "The Voice They Couldn't Silence" and hit publish. My story was mine now. Comments poured in, including one that read, "I never told anyone what happened in my house. Reading your story made me realize I'm not crazy. I'm showing this to my school counselor tomorrow. Thank you." I showed Millie, my throat tight. "This is why I did it." She squeezed my shoulder. "You're braver than I was at your age." "That's not true," I said. "You stood up to them when no one else would." "And look where it got us," she said, gesturing around our small, light-filled apartment. "No shouting, no fear, no eggshells. Exactly.